Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Bwaaa!
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Welcome to Bwaaa, a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
He still is.
I'm still Rusty.
Rusty, we are in season 2, episode 17, Hank's Dirty Laundry.
Hank's Dirty Laundry.
This is a pretty fun episode.
Yeah, this is a really good episode. I like this one a lot. Absolutely.
It shows a different side of some of the characters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It gives us a little bit of insight on Bill, Hank, Bobby.
Yes, it's a really good episode. This one's
Rusty
really funny.
gets to go nuts.
A lot of weird stuff going on.
You know, it's. But anyway, let's get into it, and we'll get to all of it.
Okay, so first off, I want to start off with the amount of voice actors that are in this one. So
Great.
you have a couple of characters in the show. Melinda, she becomes a recurring character, and she's voiced by a woman named Marissa Jarrett Winokur.
Melinda's the one at Strickland that's entering the stuff in the computer, right?
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
Gotcha.
And she's done Hairspray. She actually got a Tony in a Broadway musical, the musical on Broadway.
Yeah,
And,
John Waters thing, right?
Yeah, John Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And she also worked on Pamela Anderson's sitcom called Stacked. Never heard of that.
Anderson's sitcom.
Yeah, never heard of that one.
Sounds great.
And then like her other TV credits are Curb Your Enthusiasm, Moesha, The Steve Harvey Show, Just Shoot Me, Felicity, Norman
It's good
Gregg.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so good shows, all good stuff. So
Just Shoot Me was a good show.
That's Melinda. And we do see Melinda again. She is a recurring character. She pops up in quite a few episodes, over 10 episodes. So she pops up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Then you have the next one is Matt, the telemarketer for consenting adults.
Yep.
So he's actually kind of cool because this guy he plays in Office Space and he plays in Idiocracy.
Really? He was in
David
Office
Herman.
Space.
Yeah, David Herman. He was also an original cast member on MTV, Mad TV, from 95 to 97. So he's done.
Oh yeah, David Herman is
Yeah, he's a known pretty known comedian. He does a really good his impressions because I remember him from Mad TV because I used to love Mad TV.
Yeah,
and he does a really good impression of like Tim Allen. He does a really good Tim Allen impression, and then Tom Hanks is Forrest Gump. He does
was
Tom
Michael
Hanks.
Bolton, and he had that name before.
Yeah,
that ass clown
yeah.
Michael Bolton had.
Yeah. And he does a really good Tom Hanks one, but only from Forrest Gump and then from his character in Apollo 13. Those are the only two voices he does for Tom Hanks, but he does them really good.
Gotcha.
And then the next one is the small claims judge is voiced by a woman named Lynne Thigpen.
Okay.
And her actual longest, the stuff that she was involved in the most, she did a bunch of one-off stuff on TV, like in the 80s.
Now wait, this is who did what?
This is the
voice?
small claims court.
Oh, the judge.
The judge.
Gotcha.
So she did some stuff in the 80s. Lou Grant, Love Sidney, Give Me a Break. I don't know any of these shows. The Equalizer, Frank's
Lou Grant
Place.
was a spinoff of the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know any of those, but she had like bit parts and stuff. But her major like role was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? She played the chief on that. And
Okay.
She did.
Yeah.
Over
I know exactly who you're talking about.
300
now.
episodes in Where in the World, and then she did like 115 in Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, because they had two different shows they did.
What was the name of that group that did the theme?
Oh, damn.
Rockapella.
Oh, Rockapella. I don't know. I don't remember that. And then I saved the best, what I consider the best for last, as far as like a super recognizable voice in all of the cartoons that I watched as a kid, Billy West, the one and only Billy West.
Billy West, that is a
Doug
Bender,
Funny,
right?
Yeah,
And
he
Bender
actually,
and all that?
he does everything for that. But my first run in with him is he did Doug Funny and Roger Klotz in TV show Doug.
And who was he on this?
In this one, he is the clerk at the
okay,
Arlen
the
video
store
store.
clerk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
gotcha.
video store guy, and of course he does everything. Dexter's
This,
Lab, Cow and Chicken.
This episode is near and dear to my heart because I grew up working in video stores.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
I used
that.
to own 3 little video stores right before video stores became not a thing. And so it brings back some memories, and I'll get to them as we go here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this starts off beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, one of those great cinematic scenes.
Beautiful.
And again, the hats off to the animation director on this one.
This has got some great stuff in it.
Yeah, this is Shaun Cashman, and his major direction stuff that he did was Billy and Mandy.
Okay.
The Grim Adventures. That was like his big, and that's got a lot of good cinematic
That's a
direction.
very
too.
stylized cartoon.
Yeah. So that was that's his episode. Is this? He's the one that directed all this beautiful animation.
We start off with butterflies going
Birds
by,
chirping,
and doves coming through, and Hank is just driving down the street, and life is good, and the world is right, and
slice of life.
He is singing.
You've seen a good slice of
he's
life.
humming "America the Beautiful," the whole time. He passes Dale. Dale holds up his metal detector and kind of waves at him. He passes Bill. Bill gives him that arm where you pull down, like for the truckers to honk.
Yeah,
honk.
the trucker honk.
He honks, and Bill just giggles. He pulls up into his house, and he sees Peggy, and she's out there putting laundry up.
Yeah, it's just a very picturesque scene.
Oh, it's super Americana, right?
Yeah.
And she's just sniffing the laundry.
It's like
it smells
the 50s
so
if the
good.
50s were in the 90s.
Yeah. And but there's trouble afoot. Hank sees that his boxers are hanging up there.
And this is ridiculous. I've never seen anybody dive at their underwear hanging off the line. Now they know I wear these.
No.
Well, what do you think? Do you think that like if they don't see your underwear, do you think that people just walk around and think you're free balling?
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
Peggy has to apologize because he now knows that the whole neighborhood knows he wears boxers. She says, "I'm sorry, Hank, the dryer broke again. It's actually moistening our clothes now," which I think is a great line.
Yeah, that is a great line. That's kind of gross.
It is. He says, "We'll buy a new dryer. Just help me get the rest of these down." And as he's pulling them down, he sees Luanne standing behind in her pink bra and panties with clothespins in her mouth. When you talk about a dryer moistening your clothes, my wife and I, we bought a dryer probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that. But it's got that that setting where it like does steam. It's supposed to take wrinkles out.
You got a way higher tech one than I have.
Well, it's
I have
supposed
a $190 or what is it, like a $200 high point.
Yeah.
All it does, or actually no, that's my washer. My dryer is a dryer that I bought for like $60 5 years ago.
Sure.
And it was bought probably for $50, 8 years prior to that. Because it's like
I've
it's
had a
like
lot
an
of
old
those.
model.
Yeah,
it's
I've
a
had a
really
lot of
old
those.
model. But it works great. Like it is really an efficient dryer as long as you have a pair of needle nose pliers to turn it on.
I've had one of those too. This one has a 15-minute and a 20-minute setting where it'll put steam in your clothes and take the wrinkles out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
However, I will say, and the only reason I bring this up is the moistening your clothes and stuff. The one thing I want a dryer to do is what?
Dry.
I want it to dry things. Yeah.
I mean, that's the
my
whole key.
dryer is so freaking smart that it's stupid that it gets to a point and it never dries everything all the way. Like it thinks, okay, everything's good and dry, and then it just shuts off. Like
Because
even
it's
if
all
the
got those
timer's still
high-tech
on.
sensors, right, yeah.
It sucks. It's terrible. Anyway, now we are at the Megalomart because they are going to buy a new dryer.
They're going to buy a new dryer. Yeah.
Bobby is sitting on the floor looking into a dryer. And
or they're going to lease to own a new dryer.
Are they?
Well, they go and do the credit thing. Why would you do a credit check? If you're going to pay cash, Hank Hill, in my mind, is a cash man. So this changes my perspective of Hank.
He is, but they kind of explain that. It's the 10% and the Chuck Mangione thing.
Yeah, I mean it's the department store gimmick of hey, all these great things. Just go ahead and 10%, 12% interest.
Bobby is staring into one of these dryers and he says, "Let's buy this one. It's like watching TV. Only the show is about wet clothes."
That's the most underrated joke on this episode.
That's a really good joke.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
The guy greets them and asks if they have any questions, and Hank, of course, he does. He says, "Could you tell me the difference between an electric dryer and a propane dryer?" And all he's doing is setting up this salesman so he can tell him all about propane.
Yeah.
And so the guy says, "Well, propane dryer costs a little more." And he's, well, at first, but what you factor in the cost of ownership, propane comes out on top. Let me run you through the number. He just goes on and on and on.
Oh, he's about to break it down. Like he's about to give him all of the correct propane math. Don't ever disgrace propane. Yeah, now, he's got that. That's what I like about Hank is anytime anybody says anything that is remotely negative towards propane.
Oh yeah,
he's got a retort for it.
Oh yeah,
he's ready.
Now this is one of my favorite parts of this entire episode. Is Buckley at the door being a greeter. Buckley is just standing there, and as people walk in, he's kind of like the Walmart greeter, but he's Megalomart, so he's got the red vest, and he says, "Hey."
Yeah, I like the line too because she asks him, Luanne asks him, "When did you get promoted to greeter?" And he goes, "Yesterday." Day. Yeah,
yeah, it's really good. And then we go back to them talking to the salesman, and Hank is still going on. He's telling him about electric rates, and you'll be glad you did. He gave him a card. And Peggy has had enough. She just wants to take the spin more, please. And that is a reference to Sears brands being a Kenmore.
Kenmore. Yeah.
This is a spin more.
A spin more.
And then the salesman asks if they'd be interested in applying for a Megalo card. And Hank, of course, is no. Thinks all I need, the last thing I need is another credit card. I've already got one.
I like how Walmart, it's like Sears and Walmart combined, the Megalo Mart. Because you got because there's no greeter at Sears saying hey.
Yeah.
So it's like Walmart and Sears.
Oh, sure.
It's like every department store you can think of combined.
I have been watching these videos on YouTube by this guy, and I'm going to call him out because I like the way he does stuff. He uses a lot of stock footage and stock photos and things in his videos, but he uses them to make a point. The channel is called Company Man.
Okay.
And all he does is talk about brands and places and stuff, and either how they failed or how they succeeded or how they came to be or whatever. But he did a really good one on Woolworths and one on Kmart. And talking about how they were like the biggest thing in the world.
Huge.
And then they just plummeted,
When Walmart popped up,
Right. Well, it was Walmart and...
Because Walmart had a huge boom in like the 90s and it kicked out everybody.
Yeah. But anyway, if you get time, go watch Company Man's channel.
I'll have to check it out
on YouTube.
There's also a good really documentary on how Walmart killed because first Walmart
killed small business.
Well, at first it killed small business and then right after that, because they killed small business through like the 80s, and then right after that they killed off like major department stores. They started killing too.
The problem with Walmart was they would come into these small towns, build one big store, kill all the small business, and then if they weren't doing enough business, they would shut down and kill the whole small town.
Small town. Yeah.
So anyway, he says, I don't need another credit card. I've already got the one. Peggy says, wait, hold on. No money down, no interest for 6 months, and 10% off our first purchase.
Yeah,
10% is nothing.
10% off your first purchase, and then you pay that 10% back times 40 or whatever.
If you don't pay for it in 6 months, you're paying 40% on it.
Yeah, easy.
But Hank, to him, he's like, 10% off. Well, Chuck Mangione supports it, and then his diet shakes did okay by me.
This is two things. This is like 2 or 3 things in the same episode.
It caught me the same way. Diet shakes and Hank don't go together.
Diet shakes and Hank. Credit, I just don't, I see Hank as having great established credit.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't see him as using the credit. Mm-hmm. It's just there.
Well, it had been a while since I watched this one, and the first thing that came to my mind is this was going to be about the fact that Hank didn't have credit because he never uses credit. You know what I mean? Like if you don't use credit, you don't have any credit. You can't get.
I would have never had credit myself personally if it wasn't for student loans. That was like my first line of credit was loans for.
Yeah.
And I still there's one of them that says I've paid negative 15% of my loan off.
Lovely.
even though I've been paying on it for a decade. But okay.
So now we're over in the food court at the Megalomart, and Bobby walks up to Luanne and Buckley.
Yep.
And he says, "Hey, Luanne." She says, "Hi, Bobby." He says, "Hey, Buckley." Buckley literally looks at him and doesn't answer.
Just turns his head and then turns it back.
But Luanne says he's on break. That's just a great joke.
It is.
He doesn't want to greet anybody because he's on break.
Well, not only that, it reminds me of being on break when I used to work at a factory, and you'd have your boss walk up to you while you're on break and start to try to talk to you about work, and you were like,
"No thanks,
man. Come on, man. Give me like 15 minutes, like my break. I just don't want to think about anything."
Yeah. I remember working at Sears, and I had to wear one of those red vests, because I worked in the hardware department. I started by selling paint. I really worked my way up to sell wrenches. But
those wrenches are expensive.
I would, Sears really screwed up with that. They used to have that Craftsman brand, and that was the only place you could get it. And then they said, "Oh, well, screw that. We're going to have it sold to other places." And then
they went out of business.
Sears wasn't a thing.
That's the only place you could get it.
They could have literally just been a hardware store.
That's
and they
it.
would have been
Sold
fine.
Craftsman,
Anyway, she explains that he's on break. She says, "Where's Uncle Hank and Aunt Peggy?" He says, "Oh, I thought I'd give them some time alone so they could, And it's real suggestive.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
suggestive. Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" He goes, "Oh,
you know."
And then he says, "Buy me a birthday present. That's why we're here, isn't it?" She says, "I don't think
think so.
Your birthday's still not until next month."
Yeah.
He says, "Well, think about it, Luanne. Why would you bring a child to a department store to buy a dryer when his birthday is 3.5 weeks away? It just doesn't make sense." They're watching me, trying to get into my head and see what I really want in a present.
No, I'm pretty sure we're just buying a dryer. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure you're buying. He said, "Okay, Luanne, when Mom and Dad are done buying a dryer, quote unquote, tell them I'm over by the dirt bikes holding a Toblerone."
Yeah, but like I say, he goes, "Tell them I'm over by the dirt bikes holding a Toblerone." He says it real slow and
really
suggestive. Yeah.
And then I guess Buckley's break is over because he says hey to somebody. So that's how we get through Buckley's break. I just love that little interaction of Buckley being a greeter.
Yeah, that's funny.
We are back at the sales counter. It is counter number 12. It says instant credit up over the thing, and we got a whole bunch of people waiting in line. The salesman is tapping away on the computer. He says, "Okay, Mr. Hill, your credit has been rejected." Hank's like, "What?" He says, "Well, the computer doesn't say. I'm sorry, next," which is super rude, number one. Maybe they got a way to pay.
He didn't even ask him if they got any other way to pay at all. He's just like, "Nah, next." Yeah, you're out of luck, buddy.
He says, "Hold on a minute. You made a mistake. I have perfect credit." Yeah, he says, "I think I would recognize a frowny face when I see one, Mr. Hill."
And he turns it around the deal and clicks on and points at it.
Literally says Hank Hill real big and a frowny
face. Yeah.
And Peggy's standing there, and all she wants is a dryer. "Hank, why don't we just pay with a check?" The guy says, "Sorry, we can't take checks from people with bad credit." Yeah,
which they can.
It's just nuts.
You can have bad credit and still have money.
And then you hear a bicycle bell ding, and you see Bobby drive by. He's on a bicycle with a one of those ping pong ball air guns.
Yeah, I'm having the time of my life,
and it's on sale. So next thing we see, we're at Strickland Propane, and
this is where we meet Melinda.
This is Melinda and Hank. They are sitting there, and Melinda's typing away at the computer. And he says, "Thanks for trying, Melinda, but I'm pretty sure you can't just look up my credit unless I send some permission letter to my credit bureau." She said, "No, it's a piece of cake.
All you need is a $10 processing fee.
processing.
And then
here comes Buck.
I'll just deduct that from your paycheck.
Yeah,
from your paycheck.
I said, "Oh, Mr. Strickland, I was just in," and Melinda, of course, tells him he's got bad credit. And Strickland, in his only appearance in this episode, says, "Well, there's the rat hair in your tuna. Seems like you're in a whole $40 to Island Video." He said, "What?" So that is the only time we see Buck Strickland. We're now at Arlen Video. We've got Hank, Peggy, and then Bobby and Luanne are over just browsing at the tapes. The Arlen, you've got Hank kind of giving it to the guy at Arlen Video. It says I owe $40 and that can't be true.
Always bring back my tapes.
Bring them back.
Yeah, look for yourself. I've returned the Great Santini 23 times.
Now, Great Santini. You ever seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. I know
Robert
who's in
Duvall.
it. I know it's a Robert Duvall, Michael O'Keefe, or whatever.
I bet I've seen that movie 10 times.
I've never seen it. Is it a good movie?
Very good movie, 1979.
Is it like a action?
It is a drama.
Okay, a drama.
Santini, Robert Duvall, is a guy that's been in the military forever, and it's about his son never really living up to the standards that he keeps for him.
Oh, okay.
And it's that father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
Really good movie. Really good movie.
I have to check that out.
Now, I will tell you, behind the Clerk at the Arlen Video, there are 3 posters that I could see. One says Dark Fist.
Okay, Dark
Which,
Fist.
that's a great movie, I hear. One just says Love Happy.
Love Happy.
That's
Sounds like an
one.
Adam Sandler movie.
Love Happy. And then the other one says Kung Foot. Now, it is basically, do you remember the Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley?
I do remember that movie.
It's that poster. It's basically that poster, but it says Kung Foot over it. Yeah. The video clerk says, okay, Hank Hill, June 23rd. Yeah, you rented and never returned Cuffs and Collars.
Cuffs and Collars.
And Hank is like, I've never even heard of that. Have you? And he turns to Peggy and she says, unless it's got the name Merchant Ivory or Billy Crystal above the title, I am not interested.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
What she loves city slickers and things about Merchant Ivory? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
exactly.
sure. What is Merchant Ivory? What does she mean?
I'm assuming it's ivory from like Africa that's been brought over by a ship. I guess. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay, so here you go.
Okay.
This might be it. I'm going to guess this is it. So you have a production company founded in 1961 called Merchant Ivory Productions. And some of the actors and producers at that time that were associated with it are Maggie Smith, Hugh Grant, Anthony Hopkins, Glenn Close, Uma
well,
Thurman.
then maybe she's talking about Merchant Ivory, the production company that makes like those powdered white wig movies and stuff, you know. Like
the movies that they made were The Europeans, The Bostonians.
There you go.
A Room with a View.
There you go.
Maurice, Mr. and Mrs. Bridge, Howard's End, The Remains of the Day, Call Me by Your Name, and they are all Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
Those are all Oscar nominated movies, and not only are they Oscar nominated movies,
They're
like
fancy movies.
Howard's End
Yeah.
was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Oscars. The Remains of the Day, 9 Oscars. They're all nominated for a chunk of stuff. So it's a great movie house.
You really do have the two extremes then. She's saying Merchant Ivory, which are the fancy Oscar movies, or Billy Crystal. above the title. Yeah.
So she likes comedy or
she likes crappy comedy
slightly,
or really highbrow movies.
Slightly highbrow movies, yeah.
Bobby is like he's over at the videos with Luanne, and he says, wait a minute. They're buying me a movie for my birthday. That's why we're here, right? And Luann's like, really, Bobby? They haven't said anything. Hank then asks, Bobby, you ever heard of a movie called Cuffs and Collars? And I love Bobby's response. He says, ooh, I think that's the one with the 2 cops who don't get along, but then they do, but it's too late because he's dead. But not really.
Yeah, he didn't know what he's talking about.
Hank says, so you've seen it? No. He asks Luanne. She says, nuh-uh. Then Bobby says, oh, no, you're not getting a movie, Bobby. You're so smooth. Talking to Luanne like he knows what's happening. We're back at Hank, and he says, nope, we didn't rent it. So if you could please erase the $40 and penalize yourself, whatever you think is fair will be on our way. Yeah. The guy says, I'm sorry, but the computer won't let me erase anything until you either return the tape or pay the $40. Hank is like, I told you I didn't rent the tape. Now, who's calling me a liar, you or the machine? Because I want to know whose ass to kick.
And then the guy goes, well, it wasn't me. He goes, well, where's the ass on this thing?
And he says, where's the ass on this thing? Yeah. Peggy, referring to the computer, and Peggy's like, I just need a dryer, Hank. Just pay for the tape.
Just pay for the tape.
Absolutely not. I'm not paying for somebody else's screw up. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if that tape was sitting on the shelf right now. And he starts walking around the video store, and he's like, where would Cuffs and Collars be? Yeah. Action adventure, action comedy, action. And the guy from the back says, make a left. Hank turns into the adult section.
Yeah, that's the question I have for you now. So when you ran movie stores, I'm sure there was probably an adult section in your movie store.
So none of my stores had adult sections.
Oh, none of them did.
The ones that I grew up working in did not have adult sections in them. However, when I worked for a company in Austin that had probably 25 stores, they did have adult sections.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So is that indicative of the area that we live in, that you didn't have that in the stores that you worked in or owned?
As far as I know, okay, this is just
because we do live in a Baylor
in the Bible
Baptist,
Belt.
an extremely Southern Baptist town. So,
as far as I know, there were only 3 stores here in town that rented adult tapes.
Okay.
Now I've just heard this through the grapevine. I've never visited one, but there were only 3. One was over there next to nobody's going to care about
Nobody's
this,
gonna
but it's
care
over
about
next
it.
to La Fiesta.
Okay.
And then and there were a couple. There was one downtown here, and then one on the outskirts where you had to wear a trench coat if you went in there.
Oh, I know where the one on the outskirts is. It's in Hillsborough area, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about that one, the
Well,
XXX?
no, it was before
that one.
Yeah, it was before that.
Because that one sells everything.
That one's relatively new.
Yeah, that's like a sex store. They sell everything. Yeah, not just
It's
tapes.
weird whenever you drive by there and you see the cars. The cars are always so different. Like there's a couple of trucks, big rig trucks, and then there's like a station wagon, and then there's like a Corvette or something. And so you're like, oh, I can peg all the people that are in there, and I don't mean peg. Okay, so anyway, he comes screaming out of the adult section, which of course is just beads.
Whoa, yeah, it's just a bead wall.
I love the fact that it's just bead curtains.
A bead curtain, not a bead
And he
wall.
looks to his right, and who does he see but Nancy and John Redcorn, and they are shaking their heads and going, man, I'm telling you, if you reach a point where Nancy and John Redcorn are shaking their head at you, you got problems.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why they're turning their nose up at Hank while they're, they're in there renting a movie to just have on in the background while they have
had
sex.
Stacks of movies in their hands, stacks of them. How long do they spend with each other?
Yeah.
But that is a commercial break, and we will take one here so that you can hear from all of the online adult video stores, and we'll be right back.
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
All right, we are back.
Wimatanye.
Wimatanye, indeed. We are back at the Hill House, and this is funny to me how Hank and Peggy are comparing schedules.
Yeah.
Like they both got planners and sheets and papers.
They're trying to cross-reference and everything. They're trying to see, well, where were you on the day of June 23rd?
He says, how could they think I'd rent a stag film, Peggy? I'm married. Stag film.
Stag film.
You've heard that term before,
I've heard
right?
that term. Well, I've heard stag for sure. Cause,
used to be at bachelor parties.
Yeah.
That's what they called
They
pornos,
still call them in England, they call them Hindus and stag doos.
Really?
So like,
oh, I get that.
So so a Hindu would be,
Hindu is
a hen calling themselves hens. It would be like the ladies' part.
Because they call them birds.
Yeah, birds. And then men's would be a stag do.
Stag do.
A stag do.
She says...
Stag gonna do or stag gonna don't.
She says, I think we should just pay. He says, no, I got to prove my innocence. Now,
$40 to get all this to go away, but because it's porn, he's got to prove his innocence.
I mean, this does...
The $40 saves the money because he had to file for small claims court and everything, and he had to go through waste all the gas driving around.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, the emotional,
it's the point of
emotional value. I mean, like all the payout emotionally.
I'm kind of on his side. He says, now, wasn't June 23rd the day I went to my dad's and installed grab bars in his shower? She says, nope. She says, June 23rd, I played Boggle at Nancy's and left you home alone.
And then she said it in an accusatory way.
He's like, Peggy, you don't think I actually rented? She, oh, Hank, I don't care if you did or you didn't. Well, you should care because I didn't. She said, oh, really, Hank, it doesn't matter. He says, it does matter. It is important to me for you to believe me when I say I didn't rent the tape. She says, honey, okay, I believe you. Now, I just have one question. Did you rent the tape?
Yeah, did you rent the tape? No.
She's like, all right then. But whatever you did or didn't, I'm still thinking we should just pay.
Yeah, just to get it over with.
It's fantastic. She says, the last thing I want is for people to be talking about this, especially in front of Bobby. And, of course, Bobby overhears this from the other room, and he goes in and runs to Luanne and says, Luanne, it's even better than I thought. Mom and Dad are throwing me a surprise party.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, oh, my God.
And then the birds chirping and stuff.
Well, it feels like an episode of like Three's Company where everything is a misunderstanding.
Yeah. The whole show is just a big misunderstanding.
That's all it is. So now we're back in the alley, and Dale is saying, so
Nancy tells me she ran into John Redcorn at the video store. The two of them heard you complaining about some porno tape you lost.
And then he starts laughing. Yeah. Boomhauer says, yeah, man, talk about that dang old cuffs and collars, man. Like when they come over to clean that pool, man, you started going like, waka, 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 waka. He says, quit it. I didn't rent that movie. Bill, for one, says he is glad. He's glad that he's not the only one who is disgusted by pornography.
Which is funny because how he says it is like, I'm glad, And
he sounds like he sounds almost like a Southern
like he's trying to
gentleman
escape out of it. Yeah. Like he's trying to look for a scapegoat. Like,
he said it's offensive,
the
it's demeaning, it creates a standard of idealized beauty that your average man cannot compete with. Which I thought was great. He says,
That's pretty
"Don't."
good.
Hank says, "Don't worry, Bill. I'm not gonna let my credit and my good name be done in by a damn computer error."
I like this part right here. Well, Dale goes, "Computers don't make errors. What they do on purpose. By now, your name and particulars have been fed into every laptop, desktop, mainframe, and supermarket scanner that collectively make up the global information conspiracy, otherwise known as the Beast."
You know what I wrote down here is ominous music. You don't
Hold on, let me
get
catch my breath.
you don't get ominous music on this show very often.
No,
But
you
while
don't.
he's talking, you're just because he's talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Beast.
The Beast.
I
I like how he says, he goes, the Beast.
Hank says, and I can remember that Hank didn't say that. I personally can remember being in church as a kid and them talking about the Beast.
Beast.
Yeah, the Beast was always the system, and they're going to put a chip in your hand, and they're going to,
They
do
really
all this
talked
stuff.
about that in
Oh,
church
yeah.
back then?
Oh yeah,
Chips in hands back then?
Hell yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We used to have to watch films like where the world was going to end, and the devil's putting chips in your hands and all that stuff.
Are you sure you went to a Baptist church?
I did. At this
That's-
point, I would take a chip in my hand. If I didn't have to carry anything with me, hell
Oh,
yeah, put a
chips?
chip in my hand.
I would like chips in my hand.
I would like some chips in my
Yeah, some
hand and
cheesy
my mouth.
Doritos, yeah.
Hank responds with, "Dale, I am having a problem with one videotape, not some kind of high-tech boogeyman." I just love the word videotape.
Videotape.
Dale responds with, "Just be careful. Computers have already beaten the communists at chess, and the next thing you know, they'll be beating humans."
Beating humans. Oh, well, it's funny. Okay, so I was thinking about this on the drive over here. There was an article or something that I read or a video I heard.
Yeah.
But there was a story that just recently came out within the last few weeks of a kid was playing a robot in chess.
Okay.
And the robot broke the kid's hand, grabbed his hand and like broke his hand. So there was
Yikes.
the computer itself didn't know how to. There was no parameters put in for the kid
For human
holding
safety.
onto the piece too long. So when the
Yeah.
kid had moved the piece,
Yeah.
the next move for the robot was to where his piece was at. Well, the robot has to remove his piece because it was a take. It was he was going to take the kid's piece. Well, the kid's hand was still on it, still deciding whether he was going to move that piece there or not. Well, the robot didn't calculate for it and went to grab the piece to move it off the table and grabbed his hand instead and broke it.
Wow. You know, there is there's a thing out there, and I want to say it was who's the big sci-fi guy? Who's the one that wrote all the sci-fi? God dang it.
Oh, Isaac Asimov?
Isaac Asimov.
Yeah,
Doesn't he have
okay.
that rule that computers first do no harm kind of thing to humans? Or
Oh yeah,
whatever?
the law of robotics
yeah,
or whatever it
something
is.
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like
I know what you're talking about.
Rule
They
87
talk
or
a
something,
lot about it in iRobot because iRobot is
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov book. But
Yeah, and it's also a vacuum cleaner. We are now back at Strickland Propane. The phone is ringing, and Hank picks it up. Strickland Propane, taste the meat, not the heat. And this is where we meet Matt.
Matt,
He
Billy
says-
West.
He
yeah.
says, "Hello, Hank." He says, "Speaking. How you doing? It's Matt." He says, "Oh, hey, Matt." And then he reaches for his Rolodex.
Yep.
You remember a Rolodex, right?
Yeah, I'm old enough to know what a Rolodex
Yeah.
is, but not old
Never
enough to
used
have
one.
ever used one.
Yeah, they were very handy. He says, "Oh, hey, Matt, how you been?" He said, "Pretty good, pretty good." He said, "So, how's Peggy?" He goes, she's fine. And how's, do I know you? And he says, "Hank, if you like cuffed and collars,
You'll
you're gonna
love Rugburn too.
too."
Yeah. And by
He's-
Rugburn 2, I mean Rugburn also. Rugburn 2 isn't very good.
Yeah. He goes, "What? Who is this?" He goes, "Matt from Consenting Adults, the country's largest supplier of mail order adult entertainment."
And that's great that the company's named is Consenting Adults. I thought that was
yeah.
pretty funny too. I thought it was a good joke.
He said, "So how many can I put you down for?" He goes, "0. God,
Zero.
please watch your mouth. This is an interstate
This
phone
is an
line."
interstate phone line. How did you get this number?
He said, "It's not important. What's important is we have a bigger selection of lower
That's
prices."
hilarious.
than
I've
our
never
video.
heard anybody ever refer to a phone
Interstate
line
phone
as an interstate phone line. This is an interstate phone line.
So he tells him that they have better selection and lower prices than Arlen Video. He says, "What? Arlen Video told you I rent pornography?" And then all of a sudden, everybody in the office is around
Looking
the corner
at
watching
Hank,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who plays the most hits? Why? 104. Yeah, okay. Crazy
Yeah.
morning zoo.
Yeah, he tries to cover it up by saying that he's
Say it's a
talking
crazy morning radio show. yeah.
Y104. Now he hangs up on him, and now we're back in the telemarketer's office, and we just see like the camera pan around and then zoom in on his screen, and it says save document, and he clicks on the word save. That starts a whole thing where you get that dun 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 dun
The
dun dun
beast.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So you see the big reel-to-reel
This is the
computers.
beast.
You see scanners. You see guys in lab coats, which I thought was funny. And then you see hundreds and hundreds of labels with Hank's name and his address being printed off. And then you see them loading giant bags of stuff off of an airplane onto a big diesel. And then they start just delivering stuff to Hank's house.
Yeah.
Next,
Which is kind of true and how that works. I mean, even in the email age,
sure,
and even on legitimate websites that you actually like and enjoy and use, once you put your email on that website, like Hulu, even Hulu, they send me 5 emails a week, and I'm like, I send you your money, leave me alone.
We saw you watch this. Maybe you'll enjoy Elephants of the Far East.
Yeah, and
something. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it though, but a lot of their recommendations they do give end up being things I do go watch.
I completely understand.
Man, my emails are clogged with Hulu, Net. Having the range of services like I have, you get it's like at least 10 a day from every service.
Beast knows your brain.
Yeah, the beast.
We are now back at the Hills, and we are at the mailbox, which says the Hills, like gigantically
the Hills,
on the side of it.
Huge on the mailbox.
And it is so full of XXX mail, which it's funny to me because it's all in boxes. Like, what the hell's in all these boxes? Why does he just get mailed
it's tapes.
stuff?
He's getting mailed tapes.
When do you get free tapes mailed to your house?
I've never heard of any porn company or anything.
That's
even,
what I'm saying.
Even in that era of
and
sending free stuff.
We find out that it's more than just tapes, too. But it's so much that it's in the mailbox. It's flowing on the ground.
Well, they know he's got good credit, so they're sending all this free stuff, hoping that he'll...
Yeah, I guess so. We get Bill back at his shame. He says, "Shame on you, Hank Hill. What you do in the privacy of your own home is disgusting enough, but to let it spill out into the streets where my future children will someday play, well, that is going too far."
And
he
future children, you're talking about a 40-plus-year-old man talking about having future children. A guy who... I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's having sex.
He just says, "Shame." And then he literally goes across the street and goes, "Shame."
Yeah, stands across the street on the other side of the road. Yeah.
And then Peggy says, "I would like the luxury of vomiting on myself right now, but I don't have any clean clothes to change into. Will you just pay the bill so I can get a new dryer?"
It's too late.
Dale.
The beast already got him in his jaws. Your only way out is to start life over with a new identity. If you want, I can get you the birth certificate of a child who died in 1953. It's hardly been used.
It's hardly been used.
And he goes, "No, I'm not a quitter." And he goes, "Who's not a quitter? My dead friend Hank Hill or my new friend?" And the first reference in the entire series, you wait till season 2 to get one of the most classic references. Or my new friend, Rusty Shackelford. So this is the first instance.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the first time we ever heard
it. Thanks to Artie. He let me know. But I already knew since that's a huge part of my personal identity. Yeah. That's a huge part of my personal identity. So, yeah, Rusty Shackelford.
So it is funny to me that the first person that could possibly be Rusty Shackelford was Hank.
Yeah.
You know?
That is funny. Yeah.
So Hank is like...
Well, he actually is because he does...
Oh, that's
later
right.
on in
That's
the episode.
true. That's true. Here in just a couple minutes.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
He says, "Look, just help me get this smut back to the post office." And they are all like picking it up. Bobby comes up on the school bus.
I want to know what male lady or male man would leave.
It's so
the
much.
mail like that.
Why
like
don't
if
you
generally
put it at
if
the
you
door?
have that much, well, even if you have that much, like. Even if you have that much, generally, I feel like 30 packages, you'd have to go pick that up from the post office.
They'd leave you a notice
like, "Hey, come get this."
On you.
Yeah.
Bobby comes up on the school bus. They are in the middle of picking up all this porn and
tons of porn. Yeah.
And Peggy just screams, "Bobby, do not get off that bus!"
You couldn't make this episode today, though.
Why?
Because porn, like physical porn, doesn't really exist. Yeah, physical porn doesn't really exist. The delivery, but like physical porn itself,
I guess you're
nobody's
right.
getting, toys and things like that. Yeah, but
so she screams, "Bobby, do not get off that bus!" And Bobby, of course, still thinking this is all about him, says, "Look at all those cards and gifts. This is going to be the best birthday ever."
Yeah.
So now we're all of them are helping him get all of this smut back to.
Oh, excuse you.
Yes, pardon me.
Ooh,
that'll come out.
There we go.
They are all helping him get all this smut back to the post office.
Yep.
One of the boxes is just labeled HOTT with exclamation marks. And they are standing in line at the post office. What surprised me is how busy the post office is. There's so many people
Extremely
there.
busy post office for a small town.
The mail person says next, and Hank says, yes, I have these magazines and equipment were delivered to my home. I want you to return to sender and take my name off these mailing lists. She says, nope, post office can't do this. Can't take you off mail lists. You need to call the company you bought your pornography from.
I don't buy pornography. I don't want this.
Take it back.
Yeah,
and then
take it back.
They have a little struggle of pushing the stuff back and forth, this big pile of pornography. And she says, if you want to file a complaint, fill out a form and we'll enter it in the computer.
No,
There's
no
Dale.
forms, no computers. We were never here. Don't feed the beast.
And then we get some old lady, which they don't say what her name is, but she reads his name off the mail, and she says, Mr. Hank Hill, you threw out your mail, son. Don't you want to prolong your love-making pleasure for just pennies a night, Mr. Hank?
Mr. Hank, yeah.
And he interrupts her and says, give me that. Don't you people understand? If I don't fight, someday it could be your name on these plugs. Plugs.
Well, okay, so we went from free porn, and now we're at free butt plugs.
Yeah, now it's plugs.
This is not a reality. This doesn't happen. Nobody's giving out free butt plugs.
It is funny though.
It is. I like it. Just hearing Hank, just knowing how uncomfortable Hank is as a human being with underwear and anything,
imagine?
and then even at the beginning scene,
Yeah.
we didn't mention where he moves the blanket out of the way or the sheet or whatever it is, and Luanne standing behind him in her bikini.
Yeah,
you did.
And
Okay.
then he covered her back
and
up.
then he
with a
covered her
sheet.
back
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Such a prude man, and he's got all these sex toys at his house.
He exclaims that he is doing this for all of them.
All of them.
The mail person says, do you know this guy? And, of course, Boomhauer's there to say, no, daggum way, man, dirty old man hanging around them sex toys, man, back at my place if you're interested.
Yeah, back at my place.
He's trying to pick up the mail lady. Hank says, Boomhauer, no, I can't do it without – I can do this without Bill by my side. He brings nothing to the fight but you. And Dale says, you should have seen this coming, Hank, one by one.
Your friends will desert you. I'll be next.
I'll be next.
So I was looking up.
He's brutally honest.
Where his voice, I think it's William S. Burroughs, is where the influence for his voice is.
Oh,
William
really?
S. Burroughs, and then like some Hunter S. Thompson influence.
I can
in
see
there
Hunter
too.
S. Thompson. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially with the cigarettes and the glasses.
There was like a Twitter discussion I'd gotten in with somebody.
He actually
I
kind
don't
of
even
looks
have
like Hunter S.
It was
Thompson.
somebody who didn't like King of the Hill, so I don't remember their
Yeah.
name. But it was some kind of discussion with them about that, where they were.
I think their username was
talking about
I don't
it.
like King of the Hill.
Yeah, I don't like King of the Hill. Well, there's a lot of people out there that don't
I'm
like King of
sure.
the Hill.
Yeah,
I make sure to tell them about my podcast every time too.
my wife is one of them.
There's a lot of them out there.
So we are now at the Arlen Municipal Garbage Dump in the county of Heimlich. So it says that on the sign as he drives
Heimlich.
his red truck in there. He says, now, Dale, this stuff about the beast, you made all that up, right? And this is while they are shoveling dirt and dump stuff onto all these tapes and things. They've got bags. They've got gloves on. I mean, they are prepared.
And then Dale goes, because like you said, he asked him, he goes, is all the stuff made up about the beast all made up? And he goes, well, of course you did. Oh, no. And he goes, everything has been foretold in the book of Revelations. And he looks down and he goes, you just stepped in a diaper. And then you hear sirens
Here
going
come
off.
the cops.
And then he goes, damn, it's the Vice Squad. They must have followed us. The Vice Squad.
The Vice Squad. And he says, quick, Dale. And he looks around, and Dale is just gone.
Always.
Dale is gone.
And that's why I'm convinced that Dale was like a track, because you don't ever talk about football.
He was something,
I think he
man.
was a track star in high school, because anytime bad shit is happening, he is the fastest one out of there.
So I want to take a second and refer to the boxes that they were burying.
Okay.
I got the titles from a couple of boxes. Now,
Okay.
a lot of them are laying on top of each other, so you only got part of the title.
Okay.
One of them is XXXX, 4 X's. That's a lot of X's.
It's a lot of X's. That's
Then-
porn to the 10th power.
Then there is one just called Assorted. I don't know what that
Assorted.
is, but it's just Assorted.
Maybe it's like a sorted condom pack or something.
And then the next one says, Warning, Content Sundays.
Warning.
Sundes. Sundays.
Content.
Warning,
Sundays.
Content Sundays. I don't know what that means.
And I don't really want to. I don't need that. I don't want that explained to me.
Finally,
whatever that is.
there are 3 more boxes. One of them says H.O.T. One of them says adults only.
Heart of Texas.
Sure. And then one of them, most of it is covered up, but you can see the word anal. So that's those are the boxes that they are burying.
There goes those plugs.
So you see Hank just digging faster and faster, man. He's just trying to get this stuff buried. He wants it gone. The cop says, oh, sir, this is a municipal dump. All garbage must wait a minute. This Super Glide is oil-based. That's a petroleum byproduct. You can't throw that out here. Same with the batteries in your vibrator. Hank says, this is not my it's a wand massager.
It says so right on the box.
Now, I want to go to the box. The box, I paused it there, and it says personal wand massager. It's got a lady holding it right next to her neck for some reason.
Well, that's how they're all advertised. If you go on Amazon, and they're all those are advertised like that.
But here's the catchphrase on it. It says, like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go.
Oh, it says it on the box. That's a good pause.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. That's funny.
Like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go. Isn't that great?
That is great.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. Especially since the episode starts off with a butterfly.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, he says, it says so right on the box. The guy says, all right, give me your license. I'm going to run it through the computer. He says, oh, the computer. I don't have my license at the moment, but I can tell you that I was born in 1953 as a child.
I was quite ill.
And he just
takes off running, yeah.
So he takes off, and the cop starts running after him, and then he squirts something at the cop.
Whatever, some gross stuff he picked up off the ground or something.
No, I think it's one of the cans from the stuff that he had, right?
Oh, he shoots the lube at him.
He's shooting some sort of, but it's
Astroglide. There you go.
But it's foamy. Yeah. It's like that expanding foam that you use, right? And
maybe it's anal expanding foam to help anal plugs slide in easier
or make them stay.
Or make them stay. Yeah, anal adhesive.
All I could catch on the can was funfa. So it just FUNFU. That's all I could catch on.
Fun Factory.
Fun Factory. Funfa. Something. Now we are back at the Hill house in Luanne's room, and she's got one of those sliding closet doors, the double door. One of them slides into the other. And Bobby opens the door, and she goes, surprise! And he goes, what? I had no idea. When did you plan this? And he giggles a little bit and says, how was that, Luanne? She says, let's try it again. So all they're doing is practicing
him opening the door and being surprised. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Well, he's a showman, so he has to be rehearsed.
But he is not like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go.
No.
Now we get Peggy driving down the street, and she is singing along to Juice Newton's hit "Queen of Hearts" from
Playing
1981.
With the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah,
she isn't very smart.
She says, she isn't very smart. I don't think that's a line in the song. I don't think it has anything to do with being very smart.
I don't know. That might be just a mistype from whoever does the transcript.
No, she said it. Yeah, she said it.
She said it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's one of those like you're singing a song.
Oh,
you think you know the lyrics,
saying
kind
the
of
wrong
thing,
words. Yeah.
And then you find you turn 30 and you find out, oh, that's not what I heard.
Those weren't the lyrics to
Rocket Man.
Those weren't the
lyrics to Rocket Man.
And so anyway, she's like, oh, what the hell? She looks over and she sees Hank standing in the back of his truck. He is just gross and dirty.
Dirty as hell with a clipboard wrapped around his neck.
He's got the clipboard with the petition hanging around his neck, and he's got a big sign up that says boycott Arlen Video, and he's in their parking lot. He's trying to get this thing going. She stops, and one of the things that I really liked about this little scene is she stops and says something to Hank, and we are still in her car as the first sentence is uttered. It's kind of a cool move. It's almost like a real theatrical type thing where like they're on the outside of the car talking and we're still inside the car. But he says, Peggy, thank God you're here. And then we go outside the car.
Yeah.
And he says, hello, I'm Hank Hill, and I'd like you to sign my petition. I don't know why he said to say, hello, I'm Hank Hill. She says, Hank Hill, I want you to get out of the car now before the whole town sees you. And she's talking about him being in the back of the truck. He says, no, I am not a quitter, and I don't rent pornography. She says, I'm begging you, Hank, pay the $40. We'll buy a new dryer, and we can finally change your underwear. Honey, it's the right thing to do.
Well, that's the thing I don't understand is, like, can they not exist without a dryer? Like, I'm sure at their...
Well, they can hang them up, but they can't...
That's what I'm saying. At their age, at this point, this is the 90s.
Nah.
They were born in...
Not for Hank,
they were born
though.
in, like, the late 50s.
But what I'm saying is it's not the 90s for Hank. He still wants it to be 1957. you know?
I guess. I'll level with it.
He don't want anybody to see his underwear.
I'll level with it. He does act like a man that is 5 times his age
He
at
does.
this point in the 90s.
He really does.
My dad in the 90s, actually early 2000s, I remember my dad going to the store in a pair of boxers, a robe, and flip-flops, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah. That's how he used to go. That was like his morning thing. He'd put his robe on, drive to the store, get his paper, and then drive back.
Well, there you go.
It was like 6 a.m. every morning.
I will tell you that my wife still tells the story of when I was house sitting for some folks in our neighborhood. And when I say house sitting, that just means I went over and checked their mail.
Oh, okay.
But,
I thought you were just walking around their house naked or something. They caught you.
No, it was super cold, and I didn't want to do anything, and so I just went out in my boxers and went over to their house and checked their mail.
Oh, just ran over their back.
I was just, man, I don't care.
Yeah, I go outside in my boxers all the time. I really don't care at all. It's just like wearing a pair of tight shorts.
I mean, don't give a rat's ass.
I don't really care.
Fine. He says he's not going to do anything until he proves his innocence once and for all. He said, that's why I'm taking Arlen video to small claims court, Peggy. I'm putting the whole system on trial. She says, you have not heard a word I've said. What do I have to do to get through to you?
Do I have to take off my shirt and dance like the women in your movies?
I love that.
I don't rent those movies.
Like when she says that, she puts her hands up and starts jiggling a little bit. Yeah. Just like one of those girls in your movie. She says, Hank, if you want to keep up your silly little battle, then you go it alone. I am sorry. And this is one of the only times I can think of that Peggy just leaves him. He is left in that parking lot.
Well, it's not the only time. She yells and screams here in a minute.
Well, but what I'm saying is she leaves him in that parking lot.
By himself, yeah.
The guy locks the video store. He is the last one left.
The Lone Ranger.
It's dark outside.
Well, you know,
and it's just Arlen Video next door to a restaurant that is titled Restaurant.
Justice and principles are never easy battles.
It's true.
So he's out there fighting the good fight.
He is fighting the good fight.
You know, it reminds me of those benches. I haven't seen one in a really long time, but they used to have one by the McDonald's, and the bench said, if you struggle with pornography, call this number.
I have seen those, yeah.
You have seen those?
Yeah. I think the bill was too high. They had to shut those phones down.
Yeah, the bill got a little high.
So next scene.
Or nobody was calling them.
Oh, that's true.
Or
too.
Everybody was calling them and saying, the only problem I have with pornography is I don't know where to find the best kind.
Can't get enough. I need 1,000 butterflies. Now we're out in front of Now we're out in front of Hank's house. He is asleep in a chair next to the mailbox. He's holding a sign that says, honk if you hate Arlen Video.
Okay.
The poor guy is just fighting this unwinnable battle. We see the other guys on the well, I wrote down in my notes, they are standing on the other side of a hedge, just watching him, right? My question is, are they standing in Khan's yard? They would have to be. Because there's a little hedge there, and they're standing on the other side just looking at him.
If you stand in the middle of the alley and face their backyard, Khan's usually always on. Oh, it's not, is it?
It's
they're
not
the front,
alley,
right?
Because he's sitting right next to the mailbox.
Well, if you're staying in the front yard, they'd be to the right.
So you're
right?
looking here, and the hedge is here, so it's got to be Khan's house. So they're literally.
What direction
standing,
is Khan? Is Khan on his left?
So if you're looking at Hank's house, Khan is on the right hand side.
Well, because there's some episodes where it shows Dale on the right-hand side, too.
I thought Dale was on the left-hand side if you're looking at his house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. So, and it might not even have continuity.
But either way, they're standing in somebody's yard.
They might not even have continuity from the direction they're standing in the yard to where everybody's house is located either.
But one car comes by, and it is John Redcorn, and he honks at him.
Dreammaker, heartbreaker, yeah. Listen to the hair metal pulling up, picking up Nancy.
He picks up Nancy, and then he just kind of takes off as Hank raises his fist in solidarity. And John does not do it, and Dale just kind of giggles at him. And I just wrote down the word asshole because it is really crappy of Dale to just giggle at him or laugh out loud at him when this guy is going through this thing.
Laughing hard.
I mean, he's just like,
and it's his friend, too. So. Yeah. But, well, you know, the joke's on him at the end of the day. John Redcord's banging his wife.
That's true. My favorite part of this thing, though, is they show the guys standing across the hedge, and Bill says, you know, it's sad, really. All he wanted was for his clothes to be dry. Dale says, yep. Boomhauer says, yep. And then it pans over, and it's Peggy standing next to Boomhauer with a beer, and she goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic scene.
That is a good scene. I like that one.
Now we see another real theatrical type shot. It is we see the doormat that reads "The Hills" with a little house and then says "Welcome," so it's their welcome mat. And we see a shadow approach the door. They leave 4 videotapes that are tied together with a white note on top.
And we'll find out who this is here just real quick.
Right.
Too, yeah.
But it's literally set down, and what you see is the person who sets it down has on white gloves also, so as to not touch it and leave any sort of prints. The 4 tapes that this person leaves are cuffs and collars, jailbait, hung jury, and illegal entry. So those are your 4 tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby is the one who answers the door, and he comes running in and says, "Mom, look what Dad got me. There's cuffs and collars and
a whole bunch of other cop movies." Yeah.
He said, "Jailbait, hung jury."
How dare you try to expose my son to these police tapes that are so degrading to law enforcement officials.
Peggy's trying to cover it up any way she can. Bobby says, "Gotcha. It's a surprise. Don't worry. I didn't read the card."
That's another thing too that I guess I'll touch on real fast is women's empowerment. Like now, women are empowered to create their own, their own content and have complete control of it.
Absolutely.
To where nowadays you couldn't say it's degrading because it's them doing. They have control of it. Where back then the major porn companies had control of everything and they exploited people left and right. Now, like the power is in their hands, especially with like OnlyFans and all those other websites and stuff they've created.
If anybody knows any different here, you can tell us. But from what I understand, the only place that you can actually legally make porn is in California. And that's only porn that includes penetration.
Okay.
If you show penetration, I believe California is the only state you can make it in.
I don't know.
Now, Artie, I don't know if that's something you want to check.
I think there's some OnlyFans stars that would tell you differently.
Well, and there is a fine line there, but I'm saying production companies, I believe, get in trouble if they're
Hey, it's potential, Who knows?
So he says, "I didn't read the card," and that's when Hank opens the letter, and it is in a ransom note style. On the front of the letter, it says, "I believe you, Hank. The answer is in the tapes," and it's signed "A Friend." And it's all like it's separate letters cut out of a magazine.
That's a hell of a friend that just leaves 4 random porn tapes.
And then on the back of this same page, it says, "I need these back when you're done. A friend."
I need them back when you're done.
So now Hank is at his wit's end, if he's going to go watch these tapes and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, he is.
Because he's got to ingest this pornography. That's terrible. So you see him lock the door. You see him close the blinds. He unplugs the phone. And then you see a family picture of all 3 of them with Luanne's head taped on it. And he puts that down. Then we see the VCR flashing 12 o'clock. And he starts watching the tapes. We hear, "You want me to frisk you? Did somebody call a plumber? What kind of cop are you? I'm a bad one."
I'm a bad one, yeah.
I'm
a bad one.
The funny thing to me is it goes like it's trying to show time going by and him watching all these, but the VCR is flashing 12, so it just transitions to 12 again.
It just stays on 12. Or he was watching 12 hours worth of porn and it came all the way back around.
So at some point during the cop one, Peggy sticks her head in and she gasps and she
screams
is
at the top of her voice.
"Bobby, for the love of God, get out of the house!" And Bobby's just like, "Okay,
okay." His deadpan. Okay.
So next we're at Arlen Beauty Academy, and Bobby is in the chair and Luanne's cutting his hair, and he says, "My mom told us to stay away for 3 hours. My birthday party must be today." She says, "Woo, then I guess a haircut is free. I'm still supposed to charge you for the shampoo," which is a wonderful little aside.
That is pretty funny, yeah. That was a good joke, too.
We are back at Hank's house, and what I love about him sitting there watching those tapes is how all the lights are off, all the light is blue from the TV and stuff, and it's just pulsating at him. We hear more from the tapes, like, "Here, let me hold that. Thanks, officer. Say, are you a mounted police? Not yet." And so, and Hank comes to a realization. He goes, "Wait a minute, that's it. And he starts laughing. "Yeah, that's it. And he takes a Polaroid of the TV, which I thought really, really encapsulated the times also. The next thing we see is we are at small claims court. We are focused on the state of Texas seal, and we hear the gavel banging.
Yep.
And the judge says, you are hereby ordered to pay damages in the amount of $1.50 and return the plaintiff's sunglasses.
And he pulls them out of his pocket and hands them to the guy sitting.
Well, it's a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He pulls them out of his pocket, hands it to a guy in a suit, and the guy goes, yeah, and just walks off.
Those are my sunglasses, bitch.
That's the whole.
Yeah, let's go to claims court over some
And
sunglasses.
$1.50 in the sunglasses. Judge says next case. Hank
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like he could really like beat up the guy in a wheelchair to take the guys.
I just thought
take
it
the
was-
sunglasses back. Yeah, to
it's
take him to
just
small
funny.
claims court.
Yeah. So now we get Hank Hill versus Arlen video. Mr. Hill, you allege that you've been the target of systematic harassment at the hands of a major international computer conspiracy known as the Beast.
The Beast.
He says, that is correct, Your Honor. She says, Mr. Hill, why don't you just pay the $40? He said, because I did not rent a tape, and I can prove it.
This is hilarious. So his whole proving it scene right here.
It is
just-
good. But before we get to that, we are back at Hank's with Bobby and Luanne. They are at the front door because they think that a surprise party is happening. Luanne,
Yeah, it's pretty
Luanne's
quiet.
like, it's pretty quiet. And Bobby's like, there's no
no
cars.
cars.
I wonder where the magician parked.
And it's funny that he assumes that they hired
Sure.
a magician.
And they open the door real quick and look for a party.
They're
nothing
like
there.
going to every room in the house.
go to
like,
every
boom,
room.
surprise. Oh,
He says,
there's
oh, it
nobody
must be in
there.
my bedroom.
Yeah.
So they go and look in his closet. The funniest part to me are the noises that they make. So like
all the little,
Luanne's like,
squeals and
"Ee!"
shit. Yeah.
And Bobby's like, ooh, it's fantastic. I love their noises. We're back in court, and we hear Hank, cuffing collars, the tape I never rented. 68 minutes into the film, actress Dee Dee Cupp, great name, bends over to shoe her horse. Now, if you pause the tape and look closely, you can see a tattoo on Dee Dee's left buttock that reads, I heart Charlie Sheen. And he holds up a Polaroid.
Okay, yeah, he holds up the Polaroid of the picture of the tattoo on the left buttock.
On
So
the
when he
TV.
was doing some mad research.
Yeah, he was.
And this is like in a time where he did non-digital porn research here.
Yeah, man, he was
This is
deep
before the
into
digital
it.
age.
I felt kind of like him.
I feel
as
like
I'm
it was a
making
lot
these
harder.
notes,
Yeah,
you
all
know,
the
it's
notes.
kinda-
Yeah,
it's kinda
you're making
like
all the
that.
notes about King of the Hill, and he was doing the same thing about cuffs, collars, and all the other
It was very,
pornos.
very Inception-like for me.
Yeah, Inception.
He says Ms. Cupp also makes an uncredited cameo in Jailbait, a tape which marks veteran porn star Fernanda Valley, great name.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it's a play on San Fernando
Sure.
Valley, which used to pump out all the porn in the 70s and 80s.
He said Fernanda Valley's return to the adult film industry on the occasion of her 18th birthday, which is creepy. He says now at the 70-minute mark, Dee Dee bends over to shoe a donkey. What do we see on her left buttock? Nothing. There is no tattoo.
That's some wild pornography.
And he shows another
Shoeing a
Polaroid,
donkey.
right? Showing their donkey. He said this can only mean that Jailbait was made before Cuffs and Collars. Now, why is that important? Because Fernanda Valley turned 18 on July 5th.
Okay, hold on. So this either implies that this porno came out at a later date,
Yeah.
or it
Sure.
implies that it's underage porn.
Right. I think it's both.
Yeah,
Honestly,
both. Yeah.
It says this is 2 weeks after I supposedly rented Cuffs and Collars.
Oh,
and
wow.
everybody in the court, like it's such a big deal.
Yeah. Yikes.
He says, is it possible that I walked into Arlen Video on June 23rd and rented a movie that didn't even exist? I think not. Everybody cheers. The whole court just goes nuts.
A rule in favor of the plaintiff. Arlen Video is hereby ordered to remove the debt from its computer.
Everybody cheers.
Everybody's
and
cheering.
she says, and let the record show that Mr. Hank Hill really knows his pornography.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah.
He says, thank you, Your Honor. And then we go over to a shot of Bill, and he leaves a note that says, congratulations, a friend, and he picks up the tapes. So all along, Bill has been watching pornography.
Yep,
So
it's Bill. So we find out that Bill is actually, and see, this is one of the fan theories that came up, was that Bill is actually the one that used Hank's name to rent Cuffs and Collars.
I don't doubt that.
But it's kind of trumped by the court case and them actually finding out of the dates of the movies and stuff like
Sure.
that. So like the fan theory was that if Bill did use Hank's name to rent it, then Bill actually rented porn that's with the underage
Sure.
star
That's
actress
nutty.
in it. So yeah, I was like, well, that's crazy. As far as fan fiction, fan
Yeah.
theories, I don't know. It seems like they're really sexually charged. I looked at a lot of fan fiction because I wanted to find one to discuss too, like we did for our Friday episode. But they're all like, there's a lot of extremely sexually charged fan fiction. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to put on my big boy pants and
go on the dark web,
sift through some of that, and try to find some good fan fiction.
Use your Tor browser to find some good fan fiction.
It's terrible. Yeah.
So he wins. He says, "Thank you, Your Honor." After she says he knows his pornography, Peggy comes running up, gives him a big hug, and says, "Oh, you did it, Hank. You won. We can finally put this nightmare behind us." Hank says, "Oh no, this isn't over yet." Then they're back at Megalomart. The guy is tapping and beeping into the computer. And everybody is like, oh gosh, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And he goes, "Approve, the dryer's yours." He turns the thing around
and it shows the smiley face again. Yeah, the whole redemption arc.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. They're back at home, and Luanne and Bobby are just sitting on the front porch.
And he's upset. He's
he's pissed.
"I can't believe they forgot my birthday."
She goes, "Oh, don't worry. They've still got a whole month to remember."
Because it's still 3.5 weeks till his birthday.
Yeah. Everybody starts driving up. They're all honking their horns and cheering and stuff.
And then he's like, "God dang, Luanne, you got me. You knew the whole time, didn't you?"
She's
and
like,
yeah.
Yeah. He said, "I don't believe it. It's a dryer."
And all
Perfect.
they're doing is pulling up the dryer. And it's the dryer with the TV screen on it, so he could watch his clothes dry.
It's a dryer that looks like a TV show. And then one of the best things, and I did not catch this ever before when I watched this
him
before.
Hugging the dryer, being excited about it. I caught this one.
He hugs it. He hugs the dryer. He's super happy about it. But then the black screen comes up. The credits come open. Or the credits come up, and then the porn music that's playing in the background is the King of the Hill theme.
It's the King of the Hill theme in a like, and then this is the best birthday ever, and then you hear a moan insinuating that Bobby eventually pops a tape in, and
oh come on,
you don't think so?
Bobby's not watching those tapes, man. Come on,
I don't know,
Peggy'd kill him.
I don't know. He's at puberty young man.
That's true.
And
That's true.
When I was at puberty young man, I was, digging through, parents' closet looking for tapes, and
we do hear
magazines.
Boomhauer in the background go, "Waka waka 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 waka." Now I'm going to do something for you that would impress kids in middle school. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to make a sound.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if this is good or not. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty close,
I like
right?
that. That's pretty close.
Okay. All right.
And then,
thank you.
"Bad boys, what you want, what you want." That's what that reminds me of. Yeah, the beginning of the theme song for Cops.
The beginning of Cops. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That is Hank's Dirty Laundry. That was a good one.
Yeah, I like that episode.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, again, we thank y'all every week, but man, we really can't thank y'all enough. It's been like
you guys are really
week to
bringing
week,
it.
Week to week for the last 3 or 4 weeks of metrics has just been crazy for us.
Yeah,
so
we're up great bill.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody that continues to support us by listening to us.
Thanks, guys.
And everything, and we hope that you like all the bonus episodes that you're getting on Fridays and the content that we're bringing.
Yeah,
we're just going to do whatever. We're just going to figure it out.
We're going to try some weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to figure it out and develop it into something. And we've officially dubbed it "That Ain't Right" segment. So that's what that's going to be called. Is our Friday episode is going to be called "That Ain't Right."
And the thing is, I mean, if you don't like one of the things we do, hang around. We'll do a different thing the next Friday.
Yeah, and with the fan fiction thing, we did get a little bit of feedback on it, and some people liked it, some people didn't, and even the people that didn't like it liked it. So I mean, they didn't necessarily like the story, but they liked us exploring.
The story's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But
they like the fact that we were exploring different things.
That's good.
And I want to go ahead
that time
and
in our life we're exploring our bodies.
Yeah, it's that time. So also what I've started doing, I did it last week and I'm doing it this week too. So everybody that's listening, you will find our Monday episode every time we record, because we record both our episodes on Saturdays, every Saturday. And I will make an attempt to always have our episodic content like you just heard. I tend to do that on Twitter Spaces. So if you really want to listen to us live and listen to us as we're actually recording an episode, so you can hear it twice with all the hums, haws, coughs, all the farts, everything.
Farts, burps, the giggles.
So, you could find us there. And then on the Friday episode, I'm going to be on Instagram Live. So you get 2 chances to watch us record on 2 different spaces. And this is just experimentation. We're just seeing what's out there and trying to spread the love of King of Hill and our passion for King of the Hill. So
yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think that we've got some cool stuff in store As we find the things that you like, just let us know.
Yeah, and again, Artie, appreciate you for the fact checks, man.
Absolutely, man. The basis of this show will always be a rewatch podcast, though, and we will go episode by episode. Next week, we are on to season 2, episode 18.
18.
I don't know what it's called. But
I don't either, but we're getting close to the end of the season.
Yeah, I know.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22,
22,
4 weeks.
Right? Yeah.
4 more episodes.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. And then
one more month of season 2, guys. I think we're season 3.
Yeah. Well, you want to tell us where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and it's at BWAAA. That's 3 A's, BWAAAKOTH. And you can also find us at RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for all the support. And Rusty, it was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, see you.
Wimatanye.
Bwaaa.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.